Hello, pilots! Just a few cycles ago, none of us could have imagined another major war with the Precursors. Yet here we are, standing on the threshold of a new year, already on the far side of that very conflict. Time in space seems to move faster than light, so it's time to pause, take a breath, and look back at everything that happened in the Star Conflict universe in 2025. Let's go through it, step by step. January saw the second stage of the Forgotten Stars event, where you could finally assemble the unique Rank 17 suppressor, Bashe, equipped with something called an Axion core. We also celebrated the 13th anniversary of the Star Conflict universe, in grand style, of course. After all, not many things last that long out in space. February began with intriguing rumors. The Frontier Voice teased a new Ilidium guard frigate, Dragthir, featuring fully functional crystallid nodes. At the same time, pilots took part in the UMC Archive's Sparks of Sentiment event, collecting materials for the Core Vulnus ECM Interceptor, or settling scores in the seasonal Winter Finals tournament. Shortly afterward, we also introduced the Atlas Weapons Factories, a future supplier of special equipment for the main battle passes. The first month of spring finally lifted the veil on Ilidium's new starship. Dragthir was officially presented to the public and appeared in the game on March 11th as part of the first stage of the Allies and Rivals event. Pilots also received the first batch of equipment from Atlas: the Freezing Laser, the Ben Gun Launcher, and the Cobra rocket launcher. Toward the end of the month, the traditional April Fool's paper conflict returned. Did you find out who the most dangerous fighter in the office really is? To wrap things up, we updated the Federation Covert Ops Interceptor Pterosaur, fitting it with a Doppler laser and giving its engines a bit more juice. In April, we of course couldn't ignore the International Day of Human Spaceflight. Once the celebrations were over, and after another tantalizing preview in the Frontier Voice, pilots were finally able to fully assemble their Dragthir frigates. Meanwhile, something special was taking place in open space. We're talking about the adventure raid Return of the Precursors, where pilots had to complete a chain of missions guided purely by their knowledge of the world, with no quest markers and no seed chips. May kicked off with a new UMC Archives event, featuring the MPRS Hellas engineering frigate with its unique aircraft-inspired design. All sectors were abuzz with rumors about the Empire, each more unbelievable than the last. Whispers of a Jericho representative attending a Senate session, and even claims that the Emperor himself had finally emerged from the shadows. Still, no shake-up within the Empire could stop the seasonal old-school Major 2025 tournament. We also started rotating maps and modes for high-ranked ships in PvP Arena, and updated the available ship roster in Survival. Summer began with the first stage of the Tales of the Ancients event, introducing Maria Morevna, Flaming Feathers of the Firebird, and, far more importantly for most pilots, the Amber Tackler Fighter, along with a new set of modules from Atlas. The second half of June brought a whole bundle of small but important changes. Balance adjustments, a new set of modules for low-rank ships, new blueprints for relic weapons and modules, a fresh map and mode rotation in PvP, new CPU and hull modifiers for the Bark II gunship fighter, and a new low-rank, long-range Jericho frigate, the Exorcist, created specifically for Return of the Precursors. July marked the second stage of Tales of the Ancients, where pilots finally began assembling their Amber Tackler fighters and discovered new exclusive arms brought by the Atlas Corporation. Thanks to your progress through the open space quest chain, the world began to change as well. A new type of missile, the Dissonant Torpedo, was introduced, and the dreadnought Defiant started attacking the flagship of the former Masters of the Galaxy, knocking valuable resources out of it. At the very end of the month, we also launched the Race of the Bombardiers video contest, where you could proudly showcase video proof of your daring exploits in the face of the Precursors threat. In August, we followed the finale of the fierce campaign waged by the combined forces of the Empire and Jericho against the endless hordes of highly advanced aliens. Humanity ultimately emerged victorious, and your own efforts played a huge role in that, for which we thank you sincerely. Alongside this, a new UMC event, Storm Season, was underway, where you could assemble a very cool ECM interceptor, the Cinquedea. Of course, there was also the seasonal Summer DreamHack 2025 tournament. And on August 28th, we celebrated the 11th anniversary of the game's release with the Steadfast Steel Pilot Quest Marathon, an update to survival mode, and a new map and mode rotation for PvP. Hard to believe it's already been 11 years. September carried on the festive mood. The Steadfast Steel Pilot quests began. The results of the Race of the Bombardiers contest were announced, and, most importantly, the first stage of the Desolate Worlds event kicked off. There was a mountain of new content. The new Jericho long-range frigate Carolingian, new destabilizer CPU modifiers from Atlas, the new weekly marathon Way of Kindness, new locations for the Sector Conquest mode, and that wasn't all. We also revamped new player experience and brought back the mentoring system. And of course, we blasted space rocks in the annual Asteroid Conqueror event. In October, we didn't even consider slowing down. In the new UMC event Whispers in the Dark, you could assemble a unique Federation Covert Ops interceptor, the ACE, inspired by jet aircraft of the past. At the same time, we disabled seed chips in certain PvP sectors of open space, reworked the Way of Kindness marathon, rolled out a new map rotation in PvP, and celebrated Halloween. Boo! The final month of autumn took us back to Desolate Worlds once again. As is tradition, the second part of the event allowed pilots to finally assemble their brand new Jericho frigate, while Atlas unveiled a whole batch of new modules. We also refreshed the ship lineup in the survival mode. To properly see autumn off, we introduced a new marathon, Quarter for 30, and released 9 unique Rank 10 premium ships. The mighty Glass Squadron, immensely powerful, but extremely vulnerable to mechanical impact. And then, it was winter once again. December greeted pilots with the Galactic Crossroads event, and a new suppression destroyer, Saturn, featuring rings and a unique progression system. Toward the very end of the year, we also had another UMC Archives event, Lost Constellations, introducing a new Imperial gunship, the Apiron. There's something familiar about it. Doesn't it remind you a bit of the object NY-18? Also, more storage space for everyone. And that's how the year unfolded. Pilots, thank you so much for being with us. We hope 2025 left you with plenty of warm memories, and that the year ahead will bring even more. See you in 2026.